In another laughter-packed and thought-provoking episode of the Grumpy Gits, we congratulate James Martin on his history-making win at the Oscars and ask whether singing happy birthday to him on stage was infantalising, or are we guilty of only seeing him through the lens of disability? The boys had their most heated debate ever, discussing Gary Lineker and Fiona Bruce and their respective issues with the BBC, asking why very similar situations have had such different responses. All this in your usual favourite regular segments, including See You Next Tuesday and of course updates from our brilliant partners at the Disability Expo. So relax, grab your beverage of choice and remember, don't be grumpy alone.
Good morning, good afternoon and good evening, wherever in the world you are watching this. And we are back here at Grumpy Towers, a podcast who, for the sake of unbiased BBC commentary, will happily say Suella Braverman is a liar, Stanley Johnson is a wife beater, we stand with Gary Lineker, and refugees are welcome here. I am your glorious host, Adam Pearson, leading you through this cavalcade of chaos with some rather charming chappies. Up first, Mr. Chris Lee Smith. How's it going?
Yeah, it's going good, mate. I haven't done any more mice massacres or anything like that. So that's a plus side. I've got that under control.
Just restricting yourself to human slaughter, eh?
Yeah. I haven't quite started on that. That's in planning stages. I did forget to take my meds the other day, which I told you. I had 4 main menu burgers from McDonald's, 2 chips, a takeaway, another load of chips, chocolates, crisps. I basically consumed 8,000 calories in one day. And I phrased it, my meds are holding back a monster. So I'm back on the wagon now, but whew.
You effectively turned into the Hulk.
I was just sitting there, eating and eating and eating.
I love that your hyper-focus is McDonald's.
Well, it was a case. I just drove down there and I was like, all of those look good, I'm going to eat it. And it wasn't until after I'd eaten it and had a nap, which I never do on my meds, I went, did I take my meds this morning? And then I realised that I hadn't. So, yeah, it was a fun time, but I almost killed myself in the gym the next day just to teach myself a lesson. So, apart from that, I'm all good.
So what I'm hearing is, when you don't take your meds, you sort of become like The Rock.
I do, yes, absolutely. But a lot more, I think, angry at the same time, unless I've got food in my mouth.
Without the charm, the physical presence, or the talent.
Glass houses, mate. Jesus.
Stop yourself. Well,
that's a lovely
from
start.
One legend to another, Mr. Duncan Casman, 4 burgers. What's your bid?
I couldn't do that these days. I seriously, I had an omelette last night, and it was a 3-egg omelette, and I was rammed at the end of it. I couldn't do 4 burgers, not without really bad after effects for everyone concerned. We finished the decorating. It's done. So I'm a happy man.
And how has it been decorating? Because one time we were redecorating our hall, and it took that long. We'd have family who we don't see often come over. Then 2.5 years later, they came back and went, "Oh, are you doing your hall again?" And we're like, no, still doing the hall.
That was the worst part. Is that especially we don't have we don't live at Simon's place or anything like that. It's just a smaller house.
A normal house.
A normal house that most people.
Well, normal people live in. Yeah.
Exactly.
Not a Sansom mansion.
We have doors, windows, that kind of stuff.
I've got doors and windows.
How do your doors and windows operate, Simon?
Well, the 18-foot one slides.
Thank you for so eloquently making my point. Yeah,
technically correct. It does open, to be fair.
Because we were doing it room by room, we were forced to. We kind of had to move everything out of a room, decorate it, move it back in. So it was just a nightmare for the kids because all their stuff was getting moved around. But the worst part was, for my daughter who's autistic, it was like, massive shift in routine, and it was very challenging. I think we had it scheduled for should have taken about 3 weeks to get it all done, and it took about 8. It was just dragged on and on, a lot like this story.
Is it also true you have a new cat?
No, not yet. It's coming.
Okay.
I don't.
It is happening. 'Cause I had hoped you might wake up, see scents, and
I have stated that the cat is nothing to do with me. I will not be involved in the cat's well-being or anything else. It is not my responsibility. It is not mine. And
you sound like a victim.
I feel like a fucking victim, I tell you.
I won't be doing anything.
I am doing nothing. The cat
I
needs
have
to
a
go
friend
out.
who,
Tough
I'm not
shit.
going to say who it is because they're famous. His daughters wanted a cat, so they went on a very well-known website that rhymes with bum tree to try and find a cat. And they found this guy who was selling a cat for like 150. And he kept emailing them going, have you read the notes on the cat? And they were like, yeah. No, have you actually read the notes on the cat? Yeah. The week before, have you read the notes on the cat? Yeah. Then the night before, they call my friend, who's their father, and say, have your daughters read the notes on this cat? And he was like, show me the emails you have been sent. Turns out this cat had AIDS. And needless to say, they did not get that cat.
Okay.
Instead, they got on with one ear and no teeth. But it cost $300. How much would it like a proper cat would cost them? Jesus.
No,
Read the paperwork, Duncan. Read the paperwork.
We have gone with a reputable breeder, and we've seen it in its home and all that kind of stuff. But I just don't like
Excellent.
cats.
Speaking of reputable breeders, segue. Simon Sampson, how's it going?
I'm alive, which is always good. I've had a tough few weeks, I'm not going to lie. For those who didn't know, I missed the last episode. Mainly
No,
because I
you
was
were here. You were here.
You were here. In fact, you were on
Video
form.
proof.
It's the best you've been in quite some time.
Yeah.
I would apologise for the things you said on the last episode. as well,
Actually, that's
Simon, 'cause
true. I think you owe everyone an
disgusting.
apology.
I'm not going to do that. No, it's good to be. I'm still in recovery mode, so I'm a bit slow. I'm a bit, like normal. But no, I'm all right. I'm all right. I was got taken to hospital by ambulance. That was fun. Yeah, you vomited in the ambulance everywhere. I feel sorry for the paramedics. I don't think I've realised until now that I was classed as a vulnerable adult. But I think this year it's finally hit me that I am a vulnerable adult. I've got to accept that because my CPAP machine almost tried to kill me. Yeah, tried to strangle me and everything.
Yeah, it's not just humans now, it's machinery as well.
It is, yeah. They're taking over the world. It's turning into Terminator all over again.
You'll
So
see
all
Pat
of
made
them
by
have legs.
Skynet.
This is what you say on the podcast, Simon. So to do another very BBC thing, yes, he did do it, but it was a one-off. Too soon. Don't tweet me. I don't care. We're glad to have you back in your non-animated form. Haven't had a joke, good sir, because the joke you opened with last week was actually quite good.
I haven't watched it.
Have the police been by to check your computers yet and check your hard drives? No?
God, I can only imagine. I
Do you
don't
want the
to
crime
imagine.
reference number, or do you want us to keep it?
Are you now on any registers?
Time now for our regularly occurring segment. See you next Tuesday. We named it before we saw the letterheads. We're sorry. Chris Lee Smith, what do you have for us?
I'm making it a little bit more tame. It could turn nasty, but I'm opening it up. What is the one thing that's hardest to deal with for you that your partner doesn't know about? Let's start with Duncan.
The trouble is we live under it because I'm a carer. There really isn't much he doesn't know about. I can't get away with anything because it's constant. I'm like being monitored. I feel like I'm in Big Brother house most of the time. So maybe that's it. Trying to get 10 minutes to myself.
It's the time that you'd like in kind of isolation. That time
Yeah.
to reflect.
Yeah. Me time. We all know what that means. Right, Adam?
That's the guru. Let's go with Simon next.
I mean, me and Kit have got no secrets at all. We trust each
Your-
other implicitly.
Your internet history says otherwise.
Yeah.
No. You saying my internet history is otherwise.
We've
No,
seen
no,
it.
no.
Just for
I can-
everyone watching, we've
What?
seen it. When we all got
How?
together, Simon was saying, I've got this thing keeps coming up on my phone. Regularly visited websites. Pornhub. And he couldn't get rid of it. Every time he opened back up his phone, Pornhub will pop up as his frequently visited websites. That doesn't just happen. That's because you regularly viewing
Frequently
Pornhub. Only if it's just to see Adam.
Frequently visited websites.
Right.
That does not happen if you don't frequently visit the website.
That's
Right.
like me going to a strip club and then going, "Oh, good to see you again," and me going, "I've not been here before." Well, who the fuck else was it?
Let's hear
Okay,
it.
I
Let's
would
hear it.
like to point out, me and Kate went to the Apple shop last week. I took my iPhone in, and they said I had a virus.
Well, you're going to
On my
that
thing.
kind of stuff.
Let him finish.
Is this why he was in
And I
hospital?
can show you it now. It has actually gone. It has actually gone from my
That's
phone.
actually gone.
So what they've done is erased your browser history, is what you're saying.
Can we get a poll of whether people believe that he actually went on Pornhub, frequently visiting, or he had a virus? So wait. So the virus
On an iPhone, by the way.
on an iPhone, which is one of the most secure brands on the planet, basically, instead of doing anything, it just
I
made it
also
look
had
like you went on to a porn site frequently. That's what the virus did, right?
I also had a virus on my laptop, on my Mac as well.
Another
That
Apple
as well.
product.
And your iPhone and your Mac are linked, so it would have the same.
This isn't going to stand up. No, Your
So there
Honour,
we go.
it was
That's
a virus.
The poll. The poll. Has Simon been looking at porn? If you think he has, vote Pornhub. If you think his technology's turned against him, vote Porn Snub. Move on.
Right, Adam, what is the one thing that's hardest to deal with for you that your partner doesn't know about?
Oh, crikey, what doesn't she know about?
I'm thinking that you're trying to choose from a mountain of options rather than trying to...
And I can confirm, you are not wrong.
Christ,
I mean,
which one shall I choose?
Adam does have a very vindictive, evil mind. I can only imagine what he's hiding.
Oh no, there is that. That might be it. Because bless her, she's quite forgiving and can really chill out if someone annoys her. She'll walk away, take a deep breath, come back, and it's all good again. Whereas I'm I'm gonna ruin your world.
Is that what the secret is?
When I
or?
take a letter from the uni and send it to someone in my halls because they use my butter. I use my friend's phone. We were in a pub and he said something shitty. So from his phone, while he was in the toilet, I texted his girlfriend saying, "Don't worry, she'll never know. Kiss, kiss, kiss."
And in this particular case, what is it that you find hardest to deal with that your partner doesn't know about?
She does think that I've stopped drinking Dr. Pepper. So I have a real, I don't exaggerate here. I have a crippling soda addiction. It is
that's a bit
a
darker.
problem.
Spot the man who's been living in America for a little while. It's a soda. I got a soda addiction.
He's trying to copy his mate Sebastian's style, isn't he?
It's called a vodka lime and soda. You don't go, "Oh, I have a vodka lime and fizzy drink, please."
Yeah, but that's... Okay, what you're saying there is you have an alcohol addiction, not a soda addiction.
Oh, yeah, and that.
Isn't that soda water, which everybody calls soda anyway, but
Which is-
Dr.
yeah.
Pepper is
It's just
called...
fizzy water.
What do we call
Dr. Pepper
like
is a soft drink.
Pop? I call
Fizzy
it pop.
drink.
Fizzy drink, yeah.
Wait, pop?
Yeah.
You say pop? Are you like an NSYNC fan or something? No one says pop since 1998.
Right, who's next for the question?
It's me.
Look at that face. Oh, I've been looking for... It's like Mr. Burns. He's got the whole...
I'm so looking forward to this. So, I like to think the Grumpy Gits are... I think we're all inclusive, and I think we are,
What?
We,
You mean the four cis white guys? We're all inclusive.
Yeah, we are. No, I think we are. We're very open-minded to things, yeah. We test things as well. In the past we have tested other things that we use and try and promote and stuff. So earlier this week, I sent all three other fellow Grumpy Gits an envelope in the post. Now, the only one who hasn't arrived, I think, is Adam. Can you hold up your white envelopes, please? They haven't been opened yet. Would you mind opening the envelope and just holding what is inside?
A DNA test thing. If this has been inside you...
I'm going to show you mine. So this is what I use at least 12 times a day to go to the toilet. It's a catheter, and it's 12 inches long.
This is what you tell your wife is 12 inches.
You stick this in the head of your penis, and you stick it in there, and you break your urethra, okay, at the back, and then urine comes out the tube at the front. I thought I would send you all one and see who's brave enough to do it.
I'm out.
I'm so glad mine didn't arrive. This is the worst thing you've ever done in the name of politics.
There's no way I'm sticking that on my dick.
I don't have to. I don't need to. I'm not going to. This
Because
is like fucking
the thing is-
skydiving. Anyone who jumps out of a plane that's going to land anyway deserves everything they get.
Duncan, I'm going to send you some hair gel, all right? Just in the name. Just so we're on point.
Simon, I'm so annoyed at you.
Why?
Imagine if I'd have been like, oh, open the packages, guys. Now this is what they call a bad dragon dildo. You can shove it up your ass. Who's up for it?
Educational.
Because I can't feel it. I've got no idea what the sensation is, and I would like you to tell me what the sensation feels like.
I can tell you without using it.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly how it feels without using it. Fucking painful and pointless.
It shouldn't be painful at all.
Not for you, because you don't have any feeling below the
No,
belt.
but it shouldn't be pain. No, because it's lubricated. It shouldn't have any pain in it whatsoever. You just got to break through the reefer
good,
wall at the
yeah.
back.
It's all right. We'll stick this fucking train
It's 12 inches.
nail into your dick. It's lubricated. Don't worry.
This is worse than what I thought he was going to do.
Adam, you've got a question, haven't you?
I do. It's a little bit awkward now. you get sent a catheter in the mail. Do you do it? You and your partners have been booked to go on Celebrity Pointless. What's the one topic that could come up where your partner will kill your hopes and dreams of winning?
Geography. For both of us. I am useless at geography.
But your wife's worse, or
Oh, we're both awful with it.
who's worse? Who's worse, you or your wife?
It's probably Tracy, to be honest. Purely on the basis that she doesn't
That's what I
know
wanted.
most
That's
of
what I
where
wanted.
things are
Get
in
in
England.
trouble.
That's what-
Go on, keep
yeah, get in trouble. Yeah. No, she'll say the same. I'm not getting in trouble here at all. She's actually really good at general knowledge. Like, she knows, she just remembers things. She can't remember what she had for breakfast, but she'll remember what date in 1975 something happened, and she'll rattle off. She's just got that kind of mind. She remembers largely useless information that would come up great on a game show, but for geography, she doesn't know what's next door, let alone what's on the other side of the world.
Football. She's useless. She wouldn't be able to know anything about it. Simon?
Well, if it's Adam's partner, who was on Pointless, it would be Doctor Who. However, if it was Kate, my lovely wife, it would definitely be science fiction. She hasn't got a foggiest.
Even though she's surrounded by it in your house as well.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
This is
I
a man who
effectively
has
had
his
to-
own fucking TARDIS.
Yeah, I had to explain to her what the TARDIS was, effectively.
But that was
Yeah.
an easy conversation, wasn't it?
And for me, if American sport came up, then she's got nothing, frankly. But if science comes up, that's where we're winning.
My question.
Go for it.
We've all won a holiday to Midsummer. Who's getting knocked off first and why?
Define knocked off.
Murdered.
Oh, okay. Right.
We're not going back to this.
Should we all answer at the same time? Or...
Well, no, my
One,
answer's
two,
not what you
three,
think.
Adam.
Simon,
Adam,
Simon.
Yeah.
Simon.
Why?
But why?
Because I would have ran him over.
So you're the murderer in this scenario.
Cuff me up, take me to prison. It'll be very cosy. I'm disabled. It'll be quite nice for me. 3 meals a day. You're sitting there reading, working. It's fine.
I
I'll
think
cope.
Simon,
You'll-
because he keeps on trying to put things up people's penises when they don't want it.
But that's going to make him quite popular in prison.
What about you, Adam?
there's a chance that I may have said something on Twitter that's very much annoyed someone in Midsummer. I don't know how many Chelsea fans or rap fans or Brexit fans or Judy Hartley Brewer fans exist in Midsummer. Probably a lot. So yeah, there'll be people out there who just don't like me.
I was thinking, when you watch the show, it's always the most twisted, deviant person that gets knocked off first. And I was thinking, that's got to be Adam.
I've never watched the Midsummer episode, ever.
I did some reading up on it because we're watching it back, the original episodes. Apparently, the statistics are, if you ever live in Midsummer, your chances of being murdered are 1 in 7.
But the house prices are low, aren't they?
Why do people live there? Just like,
This is the
hello,
question.
I've just moved here. Why?
Exactly.
It's just like Murder, She Wrote. No one dies till she turns up. Is that
No,
what mine
exactly.
means?
Who are you moving
Adam,
next door
I'm-
to? Jessica Fletcher. Really?
Adam, it's Jess. I'm going to come visit. Don't, Jess. Do me a favour and go to Zoo. We'll do it on Zoo.
I'm wondering if everybody that lives there or moves there is actually murderers and they just want to pit each other and see where they fall. That's the only reason I can think of. Is like, I'm going to kill before somebody kills me.
So are you saying that Midsummer is just a really white middle-class Tory version of the Japanese classic Battle Royale?
Absolutely.
Pretty much, yeah.
I was going to call it Call of Duty, but like a lightened down version.
And they've all got like really weird theme songs. Like the theme song for Murder She Wrote, bearing in mind it's about murder.
It's the happiest thing on earth. Same with Heart to Heart. It's the same with Death in Paradise. Here comes that funky Bahamas music. Woohoo! It's all really.
Imagine if they did that elsewhere. Imagine if at the end of, I don't know, Tribe as a Slave, they played Dolly Parton working 9 till 5. It would never work! Anyway, let's all move on to Anderson. See you next Tuesday, which we're weirdly filming on a Thursday. But hell, it still works for some weird reason. Anyway, moving on with the news. It was the Oscars this week, gentlemen. And in a rare but becoming increasing in number event, there was a disabled person on stage at the Oscars, and everyone sang happy birthday to him. We are, of course, talking about James Martin. I stayed up and watched this all live, and I'm torn. Because on one hand, it's more disability representation at the Oscars, but on the other hand, it all felt a little bit infantalising. And we still don't know whether it was good representation or not, because no one asked the man himself. Where do we all stand on this? Chris, you're a film buff like myself. Where do you stand?
It's difficult because is it not sitting right because he's disabled? Because if you remember at Nadex, that stupid fucker Jeff, when I lied about it being my birthday, decided to get the crowd to sing happy birthday. But at that time, nobody knew I was disabled, including myself. But why isn't that infantised? Do you see what I mean? Is it because we're looking at that he's disabled and he's Down syndrome that we're suddenly going, oh, you know what, they're singing happy birthday and that's infantised? But what's the difference between my situation where everybody thought I wasn't disabled to what happened to him?
The difference is everybody sung happy birthday to him. Everybody sung the first line with you and then droned out because it was just ridiculous.
I think there's probably a bit of a difference, it being at the Oscars and obviously at Nadex. But that's my point, is are we basically saying that it's different because he's disabled? So
no, if
we're
he wasn't
almost
disabled, would they have sung happy birthday?
Well,
Absolutely not.
Well, they did me.
Not.
That's what I mean. They did me at Nadex, so I mean,
I know, but
what's
it
the
wasn't
difference?
your fucking birthday. Like, let's not.
No, that's
you
yeah, I know.
Your birthday.
I know that.
Like, these are very, very different. That's like comparing apples to horses.
But that's like saying we're not allowed to sing happy birthday for any disabled person or anybody because it infantises them. What I'm trying to get at is, are we looking at the disabled person rather than just a person?
I mean, let's face it. They wouldn't have, if Chris Rock won an Oscar and they sung "Happy Birthday" to him, they wouldn't. They would just go say "Happy Birthday" and off you go. It felt so forced and so uncomfortable, and most people dropped off very quickly because they felt so uncomfortable doing it. I think they treated him differently. I do. I think they treated him like a 5-year-old.
What made you think that they were treating him like a 5-year-old?
Just because they were singing "Happy Birthday" to him on stage when he won an Oscar. Yeah.
But if you're singing happy birthday to, say, a non-disabled person, is that the same thing?
No, but it wouldn't happen at the Oscars, would it?
Why wouldn't it happen?
Nobody
because it hasn't happened doesn't mean it wouldn't. The question is,
that's the point I'm trying to make. Are you seeing his disability? And because he was sung happy birthday, you're saying because he's disabled, he was treated like a 5-year-old. If they did it with a non-disabled person, there wouldn't be any outrage. So is it ourselves, our perception of a disabled person, that we're kind of outraged for him?
I just don't think it was the right place and time for it.
There's only really one opinion that matters in this, and that's James himself. But I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He hasn't said a thing, and and I'm assuming he quite enjoyed it. That the directors paid kind of their privilege of giving the acceptance speech, and they sang happy birthday to a lead actor in their film.
The problem is here, there's a lot of questions that aren't able to be answered. We don't know if he was consulted before this. Do you mind if I get more to sing happy birthday to you? We don't know what conversations went on beforehand or afterwards. There's a lot of assumption that goes along with this, and that becomes troubling in itself.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's very difficult without asking him.
From a personal point of view, I thought it felt forced, and I didn't really like it at all.
But I think that kind of situation feels forced anyway. I'm a big fan of Firefly, the TV series, and
Me
Serenity,
too.
the film. There was the Serenity movie came out on DVD, and there was a Q&A thing that had happened in Sydney when they premiered it. And this woman pipes up and goes, "Oh, I'd like everyone here to sing you the Ballad of Serenity." Joss Whedon's at the front like, "Oh, okay." It was torture watching it because everyone was just trying to sing this song. And she got to the end of it and Joss goes, "Well, thank you for that remarkably uncomfortable moment." And it just moved straight on. When you get anyone to sing like that in that situation, it's going to be uncomfortable because no one wants to do it.
Has there ever been in a situation where you've been sang happy birthday and you've been comfortable?
It's a song in itself that no one quite knows where to start singing it pitch-wise. There's always somebody off-key because it's completely in the wrong pitch for them.
But the person as well, because what do you do? What? Because they've got to stand there listening to people, a collective of people, singing at them. What do you do? I don't. It's horrible.
We cracked it, boys. The problem isn't ableism, it's birthdays.
We should cancel it, to be honest.
Get rid of
I do. We
birthday.
should cancel it. Shorten the song, right, so it isn't a prolonged, uncomfortable period of time for this person wondering what to do.
I'd have sung it twice and washed my hands when I was doing it. That way, I won't get COVID. But no, I kind of get your point, Chris. That maybe with you, because again, I went on Twitter to check the pulse on this in the disabled community, and a lot of outrage. But then, do we think that the disabled community just jumped to outrage really quickly, in particular on Twitter?
Well, that's the thing, is I think it's a case of outrage for the sake of outrage, and it never really takes into account the individual. South Park did it, and they did this graph that if they piss off a certain person, that it will keep on going on and on and on. And the graph explained it perfectly of how people have passive outrage for someone else because it feels good.
Shall we test the theory? It's Graham Cole's birthday today, and I think we should all sing him happy birthday.
I'll do it while I'm using my catheter.
Yeah, sorry, I've got a catheter video to film, so I'm out.
Oh, is that the postman? No, it's not happening.
I'm not sure he want a happy birthday from you anyway, Simon, after what you said about him last week. Christ. But in general, I mean, I know this is an interesting topic, and it's all up in the air, but fantastic work by James and the whole production team.
Oh yeah,
the
absolutely.
Film, and it is huge. There's been a couple of comments online that James didn't win the award. Collectively, he did. And also, there was someone that put that he isn't the first Down syndrome actor to win the award. I've searched high and low. I can't find anybody before James. Massive well done. I can't wait to watch it as well. So,
and I think that's the point. All this is where the ableist side of it comes in for me. Is that this become a debate?
Yeah.
In that sense, it's like why does it matter? The fact is, he won an award, deservedly so, for a fantastic short film.
Yeah.
I think Starbucks should put him in the next ad.
Depends if they got a good review on Snowball, doesn't it? Better go check it.
Snowball.
Yeah.
Don't Google it. Anyway, moving on.
This
Don't
is
just
why
say
his
Snowball.
phone history is so bad.
I keep on typing in Snowball. Weird videos keep coming up.
On to another interesting development from this week, and this is like two things sort of like merged into one, really. The Gary Lineker debacle, where he expressed an opinion on Twitter about the wording used to describe immigrants coming over here in small boats is similar to that used in Germany in the 1930s. That caused a bit of backlash, as did Fiona Bruce referring to Stanley Johnson abusing his wife as a one-off. And then this has caused all sorts of things as to what can you say on the BBC, what can't you say on the BBC. Is Fiona Bruce a domestic violence apologist? Because she's had to step down from an ambassador role at Refuge, and Lineker was sent home for a week, and we had match of the day without presenters. Is it just all a little bit much? And are people now going, BBC, you have to be unbiased? Are people now using that as a new technique to silence dissenting voices?
I'm fully in support of Gary Lineker. The only downside is, I know he still had to go at them, but a few months before he was presenting the World Cup in Qatar, who have an horrific human rights violations, and I don't agree with that, so I say pick your fights. On the other side is even the UN had condemned this policy that the Tories are trying to bring in. However, with Fiona Bruce, I think Fiona Bruce has been completely misquoted, completely misreported, and I actually feel sorry for her. If you listen to the clip on Question Time, she is not supporting Stanley Johnson. She was repeating a comment of what Stanley Johnson's friend said when she said it was a one-off. So it wasn't her opinion. What's happened to her, I think Susanna Reid said it best as well, is absolutely outrageous.
Completely disagree. She's an ambassador for Refuge. A few people have claimed that, producers shouting in her ear, and she's got to do it there and then. It's delayed slightly, and there is extreme cases where the BBC can edit. By that token, that she's been 25 years in the ambassador role for Refuge, she should have refused. Thousands of people's point of view, what she said was demeaning and shouldn't have been put that way. It was downgrading what he'd done. And like I said, if she's an ambassador for 25 years, she should have flat out refused to say it, or left out one off. It just speaks volumes. And many times Fiona Bruce, the chair of BBC Question Time, there's allegations that she's been unbiased, she's Tory, she's pro-Tory, and there's quite a lot of evidence out there to support that fact. The fact that there was a reporter who, for the last 5 episodes, has basically been timing how much time she gives for each of the panellists to speak. And each individual time, right at the top, the Tories and right-wing commentators. Labour and kind of centrist left-wing, a fraction of the time. The other thing is of course, a husband who owns an advertising company has accepted government contracts to, and I think it's 3.9 million in total, advertises government policy. So once you tally up all these little things, it's hard to justify exactly why Bruce said it, and to justify why what's happened to her isn't justified.
The tape delay thing is interesting because I never really thought about that. And it's quite a big delay as well. It's like an hour and a half from wrapping till airing.
I think this opens up a bigger problem though, because it's a difficult one to broach, but the reality is that Stanley Johnson hasn't yet been convicted.
He would only be convicted if his wife pressed charges.
But that's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
There's an assumption of guilt. We are supposed to have a legal system that says you are guilty, you are innocent until proven guilty, whereas the social media legal system says you are guilty until proven innocent. And I think what Fiona Bruce was saying at the end of that particular piece, she was trying to bring that balance in. Kind of had to be said because it has to be highlighted that he's not been convicted of anything yet. My personal beliefs on whether he's guilty or not are irrelevant. If he is guilty, then he needs to be punished to the full extent of the law, especially as a public figure. The difficulty you've got is that Fiona Bruce is also representing a charity that is specifically for, and it's actually one of the few genuine passions that she's spoken about, is the safety of women and women in domestic abuse situations. And that's where this thing's kicked off, because she had to leave being an ambassador for Refuge on the basis of she's almost advocating. But I don't feel she was advocating. I feel she was saying, we have to say he's denied allegations.
You have to remember
that's professional journalism. The rest of Fiona Bruce's political leanings aside, this is all focused on this one conversation.
Well,
and I don't think she did the wrong thing here. It's 4 words, essentially.
You have to remember the BBC is effectively controlled by the Tory party anyway at the moment. We all know that the General Director helped Boris Johnson get an £800,000 loan. Lots and lots of people who have been in the Cabinet and the communications of department of the Tories are now working for the BBC. That exploded last week. Fiona Bruce whether she is left, right, or centre, whatever, the show is controlled by the BBC. She's just the presenter of it. She has to highlight and repeat what she's been told to say.
Even though it goes against her morals, her beliefs.
No, it doesn't matter. The
ambassador
BBC, but this is the whole idea. Is if as a journalist, okay, so this is the difference between being a journalist, which she is underbound, under contract, and Gary Lineker. As a journalist, you have to sign a contract that you have to be completely independent. She has to be completely impartial, and therefore she had to say that.
What? No. If you're saying she has to be impartial, she was impartial whether she would have left that word out or not. If she said everything she said and then took out one off, who would have thought he beats his wife on a regular basis?
She was quoting a comment that she had been given that has to be reported.
She should have refused to say one off because of an ambassador role for 25 years.
She can't do
Why?
that because she has to be
Why?
impartial.
How is it not impartial to not say it?
Because you have to give both sides of the story, okay, that you have been given. It's because his wife was saying one thing, his friend was saying something else. You have to say both sides. You can't just say Stanley Johnson is a wife beater. We don't know that for sure. We still don't know that for 100%. And then you've got to say his friend said it was just a one-off.
She could have easily left out one off and had
you can't
the same...
you can't because
Why?
they've been given the information. You have to report fairly. You may not agree with it.
She would have had the same. I don't understand with leaving out one off how that
because
would
the information been provided.
How that would fly into that's not impartial.
Fair report.
Surely the best way that could have been handled then would be to say these are allegations at this stage.
Yeah.
There doesn't need to be a statement of it being a one-off.
Yeah, she did say that. She said Stanley Johnson hasn't gone public with this, but his wife gave an interview to a journalist, and it said that Stanley Johnson broke his nose, and then it says the friend said that this did happen, but it was a one-off. If you are given information from the other side, you still have to report it in defence.
Yes, but shouldn't that information have simply been, these are merely allegations at this stage and no convictions have been made? You don't need to make anything about it being a one-off. You don't need to quote anybody else. You just need to bring in the fact that legally there's been no conviction yet. These are accusations and not proven.
Yes.
Exactly.
No, and I agree with that statement as well, but she didn't say that.
That's exactly the point that Chris is making.
And all of this would have been, it would have been a non-story. It would have been fine. But the fact that she's gone against what a 25-year ambassador role, and she's agreed, I believe what you say. I think she's agreed to say what she's given as a quo, but surely within a role as an ambassador, she would have gone, this doesn't sit right with me.
Taken beyond that, though, this has happened. You've had Susanna Reid, who's come out in defence of her.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's the only backlash there's been. Gary Lineker showed impartiality. Don't disagree with what Gary Lineker said. Totally agree with everything he was saying. However, he had the entire cast that were alongside him all go, well, we're solidarity.
But that's the difference between.
Why is it that Fiona Bruce has been singled out in this?
Because Fiona Bruce is a journalist at the BBC and Gary Lineker is a presenter at the BBC. And if you look at the contract on the BBC, it says anyone who is a presenter, podcaster, who doesn't work in the newsroom is allowed to have their own political opinions.
I understand that. What I'm saying is the defence, regardless of contracts, the fact is, Fiona Bruce, everyone's like, oh, shit, that sucks, doesn't it?
No,
Gary Lineker, everybody's like, whoa, hang on, he was just expressing an opinion. He's allowed to do that. Boom.
And the reason for it, and this is the reason for it, Fiona Bruce presents Antiques Roadshow, okay, where Gary Lineker presents Match of the Day, and Match of the Day is hugely more popular than the Antiques Roadshow. Problem.
But this is about colleagues.
Wait,
this isn't about social media reaction. The point is, very similar situations, regardless of the popularity of the show, the people on the show went, this isn't right, and we're standing in solidarity. When it happens to Fiona Bruce, the reaction is, whoo.
Yeah,
oh, well.
But again, this is the issue with the BBC newsroom. You can't show personal opinion.
But this isn't about the personal opinion.
No, but
this is about the backing. This is about what do people do.
I get that.
No, Simon, stop and listen for a minute.
Let him finish. Let him finish.
The point isn't about the legalities and the contracts at the BBC. It's that the support that Gary Lineker got from his colleagues
Yeah.
was way out of proportion with the support that's been given to Fiona Bruce in almost identical circumstances, regardless of contracts, regardless of journalism.
Okay.
Why is it that her colleagues haven't shown the same solidarity? Is it down to sexism?
No, it's down to the fact that they can't on social media because they'll be giving their own personal opinions, which they're not allowed to do on social media. So, for example, Naga Monchetti, who presents the morning show, is good friends with Fiona Bruce. She can't show her public support for her because she'll be showing a personal opinion on a journalism show.
The other BBC presenters
because they are sports presenters, they are not news presenters, they are not journalists.
But the people that were supporting him weren't pundits.
Yes, they are. All of them are.
Some of them are. No, there are
all
other
of them
people.
are.
Not all.
No.
Not all.
Alex Scott, Alan Shearer.
No,
Ian Wright.
you're naming pundits. You're naming pundits.
Yeah.
Not all of
Name
them
a
were
journalist
pundits.
who supported him then, who came out and said, yes, this is correct.
James O'Brien said it on LBC.
Yeah, but again, he's a sports commentator.
James
No,
O'Brien is a
LBC,
journalist.
no, LBC, that's different. He's not under the BBC contract. If you look at it, I can probably guarantee you that no BBC journalist, unfortunately, I wish they did, I wish they could, would come out and support Gary Lineker because they're not allowed to show the personal opinion on why they're employed with the BBC.
I think he's correct because it's political and current events that aren't allowed to do it.
You hate me for it. I can feel your hate for it. I really can, and I wish it wasn't like this. I would love to. Yeah, I wish BBC journalists could give their own opinions, but they are not allowed to.
But they can't.
It's right. It's correct. But then, where'd you go with Andrew Neil?
Well, he resigned because and set up GB News because he was so frustrated he wasn't allowed to give his personal opinions on the BBC.
Then explain away Alan Sugar.
Alan Sugar is not employed by the. He's contracted by the BBC for The Apprentice. He's not. He's allowed his own political opinions because he's not a journalist. Not
Then you
employed
go
by
back.
the news department
Then you
of
go
BBC.
back again, and it's Andrew Neil again, who was a political, and it's all over Twitter. His support for the Tories. Not to mention the Spectator, and then obviously he's gone on to do GB News, which is a pro-Tory, right-wing thing. So I don't understand how Andrew Neil's able to do it all the way through up until he resigned. But Fiona Bruce is different.
It's not. She's not allowed to give her personal opinion.
But Andrew Neil did. If Andrew Neil did it, and then suddenly we're throwing up our arms in defence of Fiona Bruce, how's that different?
At the moment, I haven't got any evidence to back up your claims with Andrew Neil, so I can't comment on them, and it would be unfair for me to do so.
Hypothetically, if you did have, what would be your answer?
Then he should have been suspended and investigated by the BBC because you have to be impartial.
So he should have been at that point when he started coming out. Right, okay.
Absolutely.
But you do think how Fiona Bruce has been treated?
I think she's been treated harshly. I don't agree with it. I think she's been hung out to dry, and I feel really sorry for her, especially because she's worked so hard with Refuge Charity for 25 years. It was effectively shoot the messenger.
Was she forced into that, or?
We don't know that. It was effectively shoot the messenger. That's what it was.
Yeah, I think she's been scapegoated and misquoted.
Are we assuming that she was forced into reading out that quote then?
We don't know that. We don't know that. If it was any other TV show, she would have been given the notes on, because she wouldn't have known that off by hand. She would have been given the notes on this is what she has to say during that question, and these are the highlights that you have to say during this question.
She'd either had it written down in notes, or she'd have had someone in her ear saying, you need to say this to balance things out.
Yeah.
So by that token, she's either been forced to say it, or she has, again, as an ambassador, she's taken the option to say it off her own back.
We don't know the circumstances.
But we're okay protecting her, even though we don't know.
Protecting her from what? Exactly.
Well, exactly what's happened to her. That everybody's called her out and everything, but we're saying we don't know how it's been done, whether she was forced or it was off her own back. But in essence, with everything that's been added up, she's innocent.
Basically... But you're saying she's guilty before she's been proved innocent. If we don't know, the whole idea is you have to presume she's innocent before she's guilty.
Well, I don't think evidence is needed for that, because in essence, what she's done, you've got the ambassador role here, and you've got the BBC job here. She's chosen the BBC job, whether she's been forced or she's done it off her own back, over an ambassador role that she's been with for 25 years. Is that not correct?
I don't see why there needs to be a choice there, or indeed how she's chosen. Stanley Johnson broke his wife's nose. It came out in the paper, And then one of his friends said it did happen and it was a one-off. That's a quote from one of Stanley Johnson's friends. That's not Fiona Bruce's opinion. That's just her quoting what someone else has said regarding the situation.
But she's agreed to read out the quote.
If I quote Mein Kampf in a talk about the Holocaust, that's me quoting Mein Kampf. It's not my own opinion. And I think you can quote someone on the situation who you disagree with.
What I don't blame is people's reaction to this, because again, this goes back to, as I said before, the evidence of her giving more airtime to the right wing and to the Tories, and then of course you've got a husband who receives money from the government, a lot of money through his advertising firm. So can we really blame people for thinking that, you know, this is being done by Bruce in a way to protect the Tories?
But then you've got to blame the editor and the director and the producers of that show. Not
I
Fiona
absolutely
Bruce,
do, because I think a quote from Stanley Johnson's mate is a credible source for what happened. I mean, at what point do you go, this is ridiculous? How can you go to a friend of yours?
I think it's the conflict between the statement and her ambassadorship. And that's where this gets so murky. Because she may have been quoting someone, but I agree with Chris on that. She's quoting a mate. She may have been forced to say that, but she's also... I hate this. You know, this is what we've been forced to say. This is what we've got to say.
There's always a choice.
That's how dictatorships start. I was just doing my job.
Perfect example.
You still had a choice there to say, you know, edit
this
what
is incredible.
Or even in a head. Obviously, these haven't been proven in a court of law, and guilty, innocent until proven guilty. And that's all that needed to be said to be justifying the fact that she chose to say exactly what she said, whether it was pushed into her or not. I don't think saying, well, I had to do it because I was being told to, that opens up a whole new kettle of fish for massive red flags to me.
Well, this was intense, gentlemen. This might be the most serious discussion we've
it's
ever
like
had.
question time all over again, isn't it?
As we say at the top of every episode, we're honoured to be partnered with Disability Expo. It's coming up in July. New things are being added to it all the time. We're in constant dialogue with them. Well, this episode's digest is about the gaming zone, making gaming as inclusive as it can be. As a massive nerd and a massive gamer, I'm stoked for the gaming zone. Chris, I know you're also a massive nerd and massive gamer. Are you stoked about the gaming zone?
I'm not sure whether I should say this, but I mean, it's one of the main reasons that I'm going to Expo is because of the gaming zone.
Other than contractual obligation.
Yeah, I know that might screw us up and
allegedly.
But I am so excited for the gaming zone. It's unreal. I mean, I'm gonna have a good time with everybody else and everything, but I'm heading straight there to see what's going on.
What about you, Simon? You pro gaming zone?
I do like a few. I mean, this afternoon I'm playing Fortnite, play a bit of Call of Duty. I like playing the old retro ones, which platform ones as well. So.
And you have your very impressive Turtles in Time arcade cabinet.
I do indeed. Yes, just there, right behind me. Not completed it yet because it takes an hour and a half.
What? Me and Adam did it while we were there.
Take an hour and a half.
Check the gamer. Oh yeah, no, I don't play a game for an hour and a half.
No. It's not. I think it's time pressing the button all the time because it's a one press button game, isn't it? It's like yeah. Oh god, yeah. But it's more fun when you play it with people than by yourself, and so I like to play it with people and then try and complete it. So
like so many things in life.
Wow.
Yeah, go and catheterise after this.
I'd like to teach you all to sing. Oh no, never mind. Duncan, are you looking forward to the gaming zone?
I am. I'm not a massive gamer. I watch my son play an awful lot, and I enjoy playing. I recently did Fallen Order, the Star Wars. I really enjoyed it. But I'm not a good gamer. I'm the guy who, if I ever play Fortnite, I last about 3 seconds, and then I've got to wait for the next round to start. I'm not a gamer. What I really like about this is actually that Simon from Adapt IT, and in fact Adapt IT just in general, running this. Absolutely the right people to be doing this because it's what they're all about.
I completely agree. So with all that being said, we now get to hand over to our wonderful friends at Disability Expo, with the Disability Digest, and also an interview with the amazing Simon from Adapt IT.
The Disability Expo, powered by Adapt IT, presents the Gaming Zone. Come and hang out with like-minded gamers and try the latest assistive gaming technology. Test your skills against the best retro games or modern titles. On both days of the event, there will be multiple gaming areas, supporting differing levels and types of disability. Plus, there will be exciting competitions for our visitors to enter. You can also watch and interact with our Twitch streamers playing games throughout the day, including Melody Powell, Carling Lama and Jeffy Plays. So let's hear from Simon, Managing Director of Adapt IT, who we are partnering with to bring this gaming zone to fruition.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Simon and I'm from the Adapt IT team. So Adapt IT started from the vision from a gentleman called Martin Sliper back in 2001. His vision was to help people with disabilities access IT and gain the benefits that you get from using IT. We took it on after looking for solutions to help my father-in-law, who had Parkinson's at the time, be able to access IT. Partnering with the Disability Expo, it's really nice to be able to work with people that are like-minded. This industry is about helping people. We're not disabled ourselves, but the people developing the Disability Expo are. They get it. They understand the struggles and the frustrations. So not only are we partnering with them, they're part of the community that we're engaging with in order to understand what we need to do as a business to be better and to help them make the most of the assistive technology that they can access.
We're looking forward to meeting you, playing games and having a laugh, whether you're new to gaming or an esport legend in your own home. We can show you how you can start or continue gaming, whatever your age or ability. So register your free ticket now at thedisabilityexpo.com to join the fun this July, and keep an eye on social media for Gaming Zone updates. We are here with the fantastic Simon and Jess from Adapt IT. Hey guys, how you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks.
We just heard about the Gaming Zone from Disability Expo. You guys are taking control of this. It's your baby within the event, is that right?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's absolutely really exciting. When the Disability Expo contacted us and said, we've seen what you've done, can you provide us a gaming zone? It was kind of, play games for 2 days and play games with everybody else? Absolutely. Why wouldn't we?
It was me who bridged the gap between you and Disability Expo. And I think you were reluctant at first. And then I was like, this has got to happen. This is probably the zone that I'm looking forward to the most, by far. What is the main draw for the gaming zone for you two?
Well, I have to say you were right. We're apprehensive because we were going from a 3x3 zone to suddenly a full area of 10x7. It was
it's amazing, isn't it? I can't wait.
Fair enough. 2 gaming consoles to suddenly about 15 of them. We play games. We're exactly the same as you, Chris. I play games. Jess plays games, and she'll tell you about her sort of story in a moment. And she streams on Twitch. And it was kind of, we've absolutely got to do this. Let's get the retro games in. Let's get people that really don't know that they can do this, and let's get everybody gaming. The zone is exactly that. It's about gaming and just happens to bring along assistive technology that will help people do that.
That's the thing that was getting me, is gaming something that we assume is quite boxed, but you're saying you're working on really highlighting the different ways that you can engage in gaming with different levels of ability and so forth.
When you look at gaming, we do tend to go, you have a really complicated joystick. You need to be able to use 2 thumbs. You've got about 9 different buttons that you can press. We're changing that. You've got the Microsoft adaptive controllers, which enable you to break that out. So we've got different switches. We've got different joysticks you can use. You can add the eye trackers into the mix. We tend to think of just the interface, but there's also the software. So we're going to have different software from different companies. For instance, Doino, they do a game called Blind Legend, and that is aimed specifically at people with sight limitation or no sight at all. And it's all audio. That paired with a mobile phone, as you go through the adventure, you do different movements on your screen of the phone to engage in the game. So, you know, there's lots of different ways that we can enable pretty much everybody to play games.
There's so many inventions and things over time that were basically designed for disabled people and that have been adopted by the wider community. And I sit there and I try and play these games on my son's PS5. There's too many buttons. There's too much to think about. The idea of having a much more simplified... I remember my Atari, my first ever game console was the Atari 400. Had a joystick and a button, and it was perfect.
I'm with you. We use the emulators to play those games. You've hit on a point there that it's not just going to be the modern games. If there genuinely are people that are not able to play the really complicated games, because all the games nowadays are aimed around complexity, we're going to have some of the older games there, whether it's Space Invaders or one button push games where you hit the button to slice fruit, beat up the person alongside of you. We'll have that there as well. So, you know, it's going to be great.
What is going to be unique about this?
Really, we're not trying to aim it at being unique. We want it to be like a gaming expo. We want people to come along, have exactly the same vibe. Yes, we will have a lot of lights, which we can dampen down because obviously there are certain neurodivergencies where flashing lights and things like that can be a problem. We're going to have a lot of different technologies there to help people be able to engage with the consoles and computers we're having there. We'll be able to set each station up for the person that's using it. If you think you can't do it, I can pretty much guarantee we'll be able to get you playing some game or other.
What is going to be your favourite game at the expo?
I know that someone is going to be playing Stardew Valley, and that's a nice game. It's cute and you get to farm and what's not.
Street Fighter will be there and Mortal Kombat.
Mortal Kombat.
There's going to be a special event involving Mortal Kombat and hopefully you and Duncan involving blindfold.
And it's not as kinky as it sounds.
I was thinking this is a standard Friday night for Christmas. Guys, I can't thank you enough for joining us and giving us a bit of insight. I'm getting really excited about this. Just from the technological side, I'm going to be like, this is phenomenal, and seeing the exciting things that are going to be there. So please do go check out the Adapt IT at the event. Go check out the Gaming Zone. It's going to be phenomenal by the sounds of it. So you can get your tickets online. We'll put links in the description. Get on there, register for the show, and you can see Grumpy Gits performing live. You can go and check out the Gaming Zone and the plethora of other stuff they've got going on. We will hand over back to the main podcast now, so we'll see you guys later on.
Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure as always, but like all good things, this too must surely come to an end. Simon Sampson, if people want to know more about you or your whataboutery or snowballing, where can they do so?
Yeah, Facebook Snowball Community. It's got like 100,000 followers. You can download the app on Apple and Android, and you can leave reviews on places that are inaccessible or accessible, and it helps people access their own communities. And
Mr. Duncan Casburn, if people want to know more about you and the whatabouteries of Devon, where can they do so?
It's PDA Dad UK on pretty much all social media platforms.
Mr. Chris Leesmith, if people want to know what you're eating when you're not taking meds and any of that nonsense, where can they do so?
They can find me on Twitter and Instagram, and it's under the handle The Real Grump Dad.
And if you want to follow me, it's mainly photos of Lego and dad jokes, I'll be honest. The content on my Twitter, off a fucking cliff, sunshine. But it's Adam_Pearson. And you can follow us on all our social medias, The Grumpy Gits Show. If you like what we do, hit that like, hit that subscribe. It helps out a lot. Heard anything that's piqued your interest? Sound off in the comments. Suggestions to see you next Tuesday, also very much welcome. However, on behalf of The Grumpy Gits, Disability Expo, I have been Adam Pearson, he has been Simon Sampson, he has been Duncan Casburn, and he has been Chris Leesmith, and we'll see you all on the next episode. Take care, we love you, and remember, don't be grumpy alone.